I would like to advise all those present that notice of this regular meeting of July 17th, 2024 has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of time and place of this meeting has been included in the annual notice of meetings, which was posted and filed with the city clerk and with the Jersey Journal and the Star Ledger. An additional notice of time and place was posted and filed with the city clerk and was forwarded to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger on July 12, 2024. The regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne is now in session. Ms. Medina, please call the roll.
Mr. Booker?
Here.
Mr. Carroll?
Here.
Mr. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Weimer?
Here.
Mr. La Palusa?
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
One is a resolution postponing an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, to amend the financial agreement for long-term tax exemption by the entitled Bayonne Redevelopers Residential Urban Renewal, Block 780 LLC, with respect to Block 722, Lot 1, and Block 790, Lot 1.01. Who'd like to move it to the August meeting?
Second.
We were going to carry this.
Right, we're
Yes.
going to go into closed session
Sorry.
regarding litigation at the end of the agenda, and maybe come out after that. But right now, this would be put up, this wouldn't be, no matter what happens with that litigation, this wouldn't be on until August.
And on the resolution to postpone, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
02 is also a resolution to postpone an ordinance entitled,
So this is going to be, we're going to hear this.
you are going to hear this?
We're not carrying it.
Okay. We'll take away that resolution. And it is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, approving the redevelopment plan for the property located at 21-29, 35, and 37 West 25th Street, which is identified as Block 183, Lots 5, 6, and 8.01, as shown on the official tax map of the city, which was introduced and passed the first reading at a meeting held May 15, 2024, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at the meeting of June 12th, and was postponed for further consideration and a public hearing to this meeting of July 17th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution giving the ordinance second reading is moved by Councilmember Weimer. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
And on second reading, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, approving the redevelopment plan for the property located at 21-29, 35, and 37 West 25th Street, which is identified as Block 183, Lots 5, 6, and 8.01, as shown on the official tax map of the city. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Yes.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. How many units is this?
So, say it again? 182.
How many affordable units are in it?
Yeah, none,
None.
none.
And how many parking spots are there?
Is over 200. I don't know the exact amount.
Is there retail in this project?
No.
It's all residential.
All residential, and there's a very large area being put aside for recreation.
Public recreation or for the residents there?
Public recreation for the city recreation department.
So anyone from the public can go there? It's not, I mean, not just for the
Yeah, it'll be
building?
open to.
And so how many
recreation.
parking spots? So we have 180 units, and so they got a variance on the parking spots, or are they doing the full 1.5
No, they're
per
all-
unit?
So it's not 1.5.
Well, what's the
Yeah,
number?
Mr. Maselli, you want to explain the parking? 220 or in that
It's
range,
200, it's about
right?
221,
Yeah. Okay.
so it's over 1-to-1. It's, I think,
Okay.
I forgot what it shakes out to. I have our traffic and parking expert here if you want.
I
I
thought
don't-
the redevelopment plan is like 1.2 per
It'll be
unit,
about
something
that,
like that.
yeah.
So you didn't get any relief on a variance for the parking? You fully met the requirements?
We'll meet the requirement. We haven't fully designed the building yet. It's still a conceptual design. It's not engineered. It's not, all the things that you have to put in a building. We haven't hit that point yet. So we think it'll be about 182 units, about 221 parking spaces. But again, we haven't finalized all the details, but it will comply with the redevelopment plan. That's the purpose.
And were there any other variances that were needed for this?
Well, this property was split zoned. I think part of it was in the R2, part of it was in the C2, and this use, it was not conforming anyway. So I can't remember what the changes from the R2 and the C2, it was, the lots, because of the McDonald's one, that lot line, that property, that the zone line runs weird off of Broadway.
And how many stories do you?
It's going to be 10 total stories, but not 10 stories straight up. There are significant step backs, as you get further up, it gets lighter and lighter as you get up. And I think, I don't have the architect here, but I think at the 10th story, it doesn't cover the full floor plate, maybe 40%, 30% of the full floor plate.
And all those 221 spots, parking spots, the only exit entrance will be on 25th Street?
There'll be one entrance, one
25th
one
Street.
point, yep, yes.
Where McDonald's comes and the other development. and
Downstream,
everyone
correct,
else.
yes. And we have our traffic expert who's looked at that, and he has actually, we've moved away from a lot of the driveways there, and he can speak as an expert on this more than I can. We've moved away from some of the driveways that are further towards the corner, the CVS, for example, and the one that, the property that's next to us right now, the 5-story that I think was approved, I can't remember what year that was. We're moving further away from that one. So, it's an improved condition. Like I said, I've got my traffic expert who can tell you why.
I don't need the traffic expert.
Okay.
I live it. I see
So do
25th
I.
Street McDonald's.
Me too.
We all know the nightmare it is there.
Right.
So, 220
You were
more
there. You
cars a
saw it
day.
too.
So, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mike?
Just, is the forum
State
going to?
your name and
Oh,
address.
Mike Resigno, 42 West 23rd Street. Is the forum going to be in the bottom of that, or they're moving out?
No, I believe the forum is closing.
It will be closing, okay, because everyone's always said they're going to be moving in the bottom of the new building.
And
Okay,
part of the parking that they have now, they lease spots from the city lot.
yeah,
They'll be giving back to the city for public parking.
right, okay, but they will be closing, then leaving that area.
They will.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
To Madeline, I wonder if I might, Mr. Maselli, I wonder if you wouldn't mind, I'd be very interested in hearing what your traffic expert has to say.
Certainly, we can call him up.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because traffic in that area, in the city center in what is absolutely a condensed business district with a lot of pedestrian traffic, as well as people coming and going from probably the busiest fast food restaurant in the city, does raise some concerns. But I'm hopeful you have wonderful news, and
Yeah.
that would help my comfort level.
Okay, hopefully it's wonderful news. I'm Craig Paraguay, by the way, with Dynamic Traffic. We took a look at this in terms of traffic generation as a comparison to what's there now. You have the fitness center and the Kessler Rehab Center there. And we're not necessarily looking at what the existing fitness center is generating today in terms of traffic, because obviously they're looking to redevelop the property, so it may not be as successful as it once was. Certainly could be rebranded by Planet Fitness or something like that and ramp back up. So that's the comparison we're doing. And as traffic engineers, we look at the peak hours, the morning and evening rush hour time periods, as well as a Saturday. And if I do that comparison, the trip generation comparison based on the ITE or the Institute of Transportation Engineers, we're a very small increase over the potential of that fitness center reinvigorating itself, rebranding, or coming back. And specifically, the only increase of any significance is the weekday morning peak hour, and it's about a little less than 40 trips Typically, you look at 100 trips as being significant, where you'd be concerned about the traffic impact, so we're well under that. It's basically a wash in the evening, and it's actually a little bit less on Saturday. And throughout an entire weekday, the daily weekday, it's 153 less vehicles in and out as compared to that fitness center that
Okay.
you have there today.
I apologize, let me ask you a question. If I understand correctly, you said that you did not base it on the actual traffic generated by the fitness center currently? So what did you base it on?
It's based on a fitness center of that size, based on the ITE rates. Now, if I were trying to figure out the traffic generated by that center, it would be pretty tough because they don't have enough parking to accommodate everybody. So people are parking in different locations. They're parking
Right.
at the public parking at McDonald's, at the deck to the south. So that all is going to increase. In terms of actual parking, they're about 75 spaces short based on our predictive amount of parking that they'd have based on the ITE, and we would be about 100 spaces in surplus, an extra amount of spaces. So we're eliminating not only a mild increase in the traffic, but we're eliminating the parking problem. And the other more important thing, and it was discussed before, the driveway separation, that existing Form Fitness driveway is about 70 feet from the CVS driveway and 65 feet, if you're measuring center line to center line, to the apartments across the street. We're moving it over, so we're going to be 100 feet from those apartments and 90 feet from the McDonald's driveway. So we're getting better spacing, too. So not only, traffic generation is minimal difference, but we're putting the driveway in a better spot. With this
Would
plan.
you expand on the data as it pertains to this potential recreation center?
Yeah, and it's a community facility of recreation center of some kind. So as I mentioned, I use the ITE rates for a fitness center. For that recreation center, I use the ITE rates that you would use for a YMCA. Is this going to generate the amount of traffic that a YMCA does? I'm sure not, but those are the best numbers that I had. So I'm probably overestimating on both scenarios, but the comparison is the more important. And in terms of traffic generation, it's not a big change. Last thing I'll point out, and we worked on that McDonald's project for years. When we do traffic reports, we make projections and we assume other developments being developed and project out into the future. So we did that for the McDonald's, but now recently, since it's been open and operating, last month we took counts at that same intersection for, looking for this project. And it's about 75 vehicles per hour less on 25th Street than we had projected. So we even overestimated a little bit, and we do that on purpose to be conservative. So if you build in that extra 75 trips, that it obviously worked in our analysis when we got the McDonald's approved, we're still not even there yet.
And what were the number of trips estimated coming out of that McDonald's?
I don't have that offhand, the number, but it's a couple hundred. I mean, around 200 trips it usually is for
200
McDonald's
trips an
in an
hour.
hour. Yeah.
And that combined with the number of trips per hour estimated out of the building would be how many?
Coming out of this building, the increase over the
Increase.
four is 38 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and negative 10 less on Saturday, and 153 less over the course of a whole day. So it's less active over the course of a day, which makes sense because residential, people leave in the morning to go to work and come back in the evening.
Right.
Whereas a fitness center, people are in and out all day.
Right, and that's just based on a fitness center of that size up to the maximum capacity.
Correct, assuming they had enough parking, which they don't.
Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate that. Anybody
What
else?
is the number of public parking spots in the area?
Well,
We
I
had
think,
seen some data before, I know.
Yeah.
I think we did see that data. There are a number, I can
Yeah.
tell you, there are a number of public parking facilities in very, very close proximity.
I wanted to know, they
Yeah.
have numbers, I was
yeah.
looking
Yeah,
for
you
a
got 'em.
specific number.
that the Barnabas parking garage was required to set aside 70 spaces for public use. There's the parking authority, Lot 5 around the corner is a 38-space lot. There's 4 spaces on the McDonald's property. And then the parking authority, Lot 8, has 44 spaces on 26 to the east of Broadway. So that's,
So all basically
Within
within one
reasonable
city block.
And then the 30-something spots that are being given back to the public from the forum, is that?
The one
is that
next to the
included
McDonald's
in
lot.
that or no?
yeah,
That's included.
That
But
goes-
there's also one on 26th Street further down towards Avenue, a little bit further down the block, right?
East.
As you're heading,
yeah,
if you're
that
heading
was
down
lot
on the
eight.
left-hand side, and that's like 30-something, 40. So it's a few, it's
44.
a good number. You'd probably be hard pressed to find any places in the city that have that much public parking available.
Right. And what about, and forgive me if it was not your plan to get this in-depth, I apologize.
That's all right.
What about an allowance for deliveries, move in, move out? What we can't have is people double parked, creating havoc on that street, because it is a very busy,
I have
heavily
to-
traveled.
I have to look at the
Street.
plan, and I can't remember off the top of my head, to be quite frank with you, but I think there was an opportunity, there may be opportunities for us to create a pull-in area so that people can pull in. I don't know, did Bruce have that on the plan? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't remember, I just looked to see if
We
I
can,
had
we
that.
can look and get that answer to you, but if that's something you'd like to see, we'd be more than happy to explore that, where there's
I don't think, quite frankly, I think that if it's something that we approve, it's not something I'd like to see, it's something I'd have to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm talking off the street. I mean,
Right.
like when you're dropping somebody off.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a little place that they can pull off to the
Something of
side.
that nature.
Yeah.
Pull-in deliveries made internally in the building, or something of that
Yeah.
nature, so that we know that there will be no reason for,
Double
for
park.
traffic to
Yeah.
be blocked, because the street itself is not wide enough to accommodate that we know.
No, I think,
Yeah, I think they'll probably, if there isn't already, there will be space available for an Amazon truck or a panel truck to get in it, right? The clearance will still be enough for a small truck?
yeah, I mean, the Amazon and FedEx trucks, they're delivering all over the city. They generally don't pull into a building, but for move-ins and move-outs and any
Right.
other, somebody's getting a new refrigerator or whatever, it would be good.
Right. And then I do just want to say that I do think that the give back to the city of 12,000 square feet of recreational public space for a term of in perpetuity is tremendous. So I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you.
And it's free. We're going to meet, I mean, I think we put maintenance into our pro forma, so we're going to clean and maintain that area as well. So it's going to be rent-free, maintenance-free.
Well, we like free, so.
Yes.
That's
Who
not-
doesn't?
okay.
And we like to, listen, I don't forgot who I was talking to about this, but I have a son who played volleyball. And there were times in the winter that they were looking for an indoor place to play, and they can't do that. In the school gyms, you have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork to do that. So indoor facilities, especially in a place like Bayonne, are important for the off-season where you can't go down and play at the park. So, there's a generation of student athletes that'll probably thank you for doing this.
I'm sure. Sue?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to clarify for you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Booker already knows this, but, so the redevelopment plan was passed by the planning board, but that's an advisory document that goes back to you. And so tonight, if you direct us in your resolution to include off-site parking, or not for this, but the drop-off
Right,
point.
parking sufficient to accommodate deliveries,
I
move
have
in and
the
move out.
plan in my computer, I just have to open it up, but if you put that in your resolution, as you know, the plans are not signed now, Mr. Slough doesn't sign them until after we have this meeting, and it's perfectly normal for you to just say it. I know Mr. Maselli's been good on other plans, we've had to make the same modifications.
Sure.
So I will check it now, but if you put that in the resolution, this is your opportunity to tweak.
Thank you, Sue,
just
I
wanted to-
appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've worked. We have done that in other projects, and we've got very talented design professionals, so I'm sure they'll come up with a solution and look at me cross-eyed for making them do more work on it, but yes, it's important. I don't want to
Yeah.
sit behind a
Yeah.
Amazon truck honking and
Right.
getting red-faced either, so.
The double parking's out of
Yeah,
control.
yeah, I
and on that
agree.
block, you
It's
can't
it's
have that,
aggravating.
so-
So,
Yeah. So we will do,
Do we have any professionals ready to discuss the specifics of the recreation that's going to go in there? Or
well, I think we would leave that to the city. I know that you've spoken to Pete Amadio, I don't have to pronounce his last name.
From what I
Yeah,
got,
okay.
it was on 2 floors. One was a little over 7,000, and I
Mhm.
think the other one was a little
It's
over
5,000.
5,000, making it close to, it's even, I don't know, so it's over 12,000.
It
a
is.
hair
So,
over
yeah.
12,000.
So, to me, I think, obviously, that's driving this project a
Yeah.
little bit as well. This is something we've talked about for the last 10 years. I think Juan was very eloquent at the last meeting about talking about that. And honestly, it's a big bonus for the city. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, I think we're ready to vote on this, so.
No, good. I'm glad to hear that. And just to clarify a little bit more, one of the floors is an overheight, so that might be the more appropriate space for a physical activity, because it gives you that extra ceiling height.
The first
And then
floor?
I think the first floor and then the second floor. Think of like the Jewish Community Center. If you've ever been in their multi-purpose room where you can do a play or play basketball or play field floor hockey, you know what I mean? Some sort of functional space that you can shift over to do a lot of things.
And that'll be utilized by the city
Yeah.
to use at its discretion.
At its discretion, right. It's going to be just, you're a tenant that doesn't have to pay anything, but you use the spaces, you see fit.
Accommodate recreation.
Yeah, right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Anybody
it.
else have comments from the council? Okay.
Okay. No protests against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
So move.
Second. On the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
No, I think this presents a lot of problems. I don't think all of them were answered satisfactorily here tonight. I know I've been talking about affordable housing for a while now. I'm glad it was mentioned from the floor as well. This doesn't include that. That's such a substantial building and footprint. Further, I don't think it specifies to a satisfactory level what this can be used for as far as recreation, who will be in there, who won't be in there, how it'll make the city's use of a recreation department easier or better. I absolutely agree with what Mr. Maselli said before, that parents are clamoring for some sort of indoor recreational use. In the vein of a Boys and Girls Club, I think that would be a better use of our priority list of trying to put that forward in this town. I think there's no shortage of development that wants to be completed in this city, and this could be, again, a priority in other places that are more conducive to the traffic of children. There are a lot of public parking spots in that area, but no matter which parking lot you park in, you have to then take your child out of it and walk either across Broadway or through the already dangerous McDonald's throughway. So, the president referenced Councilman at Large's comments of last week, and yes, we need that. We need a recreation center here. However, I don't think this is the last time we will have that opportunity, and I don't think we should vote on this simply because you think it may be the last time we'll see that opportunity, not to mention my objection to that. So, no.
Mr. Perez.
I would like to follow up that you have 4 schools around here surrounding this area. You have Varun School, you have the high school, you have Midtown, and you have Aresco. Now, kids going up and down there constantly, and they cross and Broadway, and we haven't had any major accidents where kids get run over. I mean, and I don't see it happening with this. If there's a recreation center there, and I'm hoping that it's for kids with disability also, that we need that desperately here in Bayonne. It's a dream that I had since 2014, that we built a recreation center here, and I have spoken to the mayor about it, and every time we start, we go 1 foot forward and 3 feet back, 3 foot back. And so this time, we're getting a recreation center for the kids, and this is one of my dreams, to get something done here in Bayonne, like Wayne has it and East Brunswick has it, that we have something for the kids, our future, the kids who are going to be our future leaders, the kids who are going to grow up here, and this will be great for the community also. I vote aye.
Ms. Weimer.
I have mixed emotions about this. I do have some concerns. I do think that the passing of this ordinance has to be contingent upon an internal area specified for deliveries, for drop-offs, and for move-in and move-out. if there is anything that we have to do is we do have to look to protect the public. I think that there's a way to do it. I do think that the benefit of the recreational facility far outweighs the negative impact that it will have. And with that, I vote aye.
Mr. La Palusa?
So for the last 10 years, it's been kind of a mantra that we get a recreation center for this town. And the fact of the matter is that the amount of square footage is phenomenal. 12,000 square feet is quite a big space for our recreation. The location is an issue only because of the traffic, obviously, in the heart of our Broadway district. So yes, that's an issue, but it's also a positive to have a recreation center in the center of town as well. So, Mr. Carroll, we're not going to go back and forth arguing, but the PAL, the Little League, you have to pass major streets to get to there as well. And it's been like that for years. I played in the Little League 50 years ago. It was like that, 50 years ago. The PAL doesn't
Has
even
its own
have
parking
park,
underneath the building.
Well, yes and no. You still got to park around the building, around the streets. So you can make that argument either way. You can make the argument that you're still crossing major streets to get there. So for me, the bonus is that recreation center. I think the area will be able to handle it with the parking, and I think it's a home run for the city. And with that, I vote aye.
Okay. 03 is an ordinance entitled, a bond ordinance providing for improvements to various roads, appropriating $2.7 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2.7 million bonds or notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof, authorized in and by the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held June 12th, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin boards required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of July 17th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by the council president giving the ordinance second reading. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, bond ordinance providing for the improvements to various roads, appropriating $2.7 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2.7 million bonds or notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof, authorized in and by the City of Bayonne in the County of Hudson, New Jersey, State of New Jersey. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. How many roads approximately will this amount of money allow us to do? Mr.
Mr. Cotter, do you have an answer for that? How many roads will the 2.7 million bond get us
Approximately.
for 03?
Approximately.
Each street's going to depend on how wide it is, whether it's single lane, double lane. But on the average, a block now with the end, it's also going to be determined on how many handicap ramps are going to be needed in those, on the four corners. If two are done already, we'll only have to do the other two. But on the average, you're looking at between $50,000 to $80,000 per street to be paved in today's market.
And I know you keep a list of what streets need to be paved. Can you tell me how many streets are on your list? Because I'm, to be paved, about. If you ask me, it's pretty much every block in town. But because the streets are a terrible mess in town, I know there's a plan to wait till Avenue C, all the work is done before we fix it, so we can all drive, if every block and kill our cars. I don't drive around in a city car, so it's my car that gets tires and shocks and everything like that. Potholes, we had a police, talk about resources, police had to sit there and babysit the metal spike that was coming out of one of the plates that moved, so nobody ran it over. We have a sinkhole for, I believe was related to water, which I knew about and everyone knew about when I was on the council, and that was, 3 years ago. I think it was probably 8 years ago when Mr. Tim Boyle was still there. That was brought to attention. It was being addressed. But again, never followed through. And now we have a sinkhole and potentially danger, and we're lucky no one got hurt because we are not maintaining our infrastructure. We repaved Fifth Street, which, as you know, given the proximity of where I live and my father lives, I ride it all the time, and that was great. But I don't understand why it needed to be repaved, because it was one of the better streets, because it was only paved a couple of years ago, and it was just repaved again. North Street, Hobart, there's a ton of streets, 40th Street. You can't ride over it. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I don't know if the amount of money you're bonding for is enough, but I would agree that taxpayers would really rather pay for that than some of the other things.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion?
So move.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
So move.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
04 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, New Jersey, approving an amendment to the 8th Street Rehabilitation Plan for the 26th North Street, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held June 12th, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of July 17th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution giving the ordinance second reading is moved by Councilmember Carroll. Mr. Booker, will you second? Second. On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, approving an amendment to the 8th Street Rehabilitation Plan of 26 North Street. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak.
Sharon.
Sharon Nadrowski, 126 Avenue A. I just want to know what the amendment is. What's the change?
So the change is the height.
And
The height was originally a 22-story building, which is now 14 stories.
so you reduced this one.
Yes.
Any particular reason why we reduced this one and we just upscaled the one on 12th
Council
Street?
did not want to have a 22-story tower. This was done months ago.
I know it was. But we then, in the meantime, built one on 12th Street, and then we increased the one on 19th Street, on Avenue E and 12th Street or 13th Street, whatever that was.
Again, we're referring
I'm just-
to North Street right now.
Yes, but I'm just trying to understand if there's a cohesive plan where we're scaling some up, we're scaling some down, we're saying too big, and then we're making them, the location, that one was okay to go tall because it was backed up to the railroad. Well, this
Yeah.
one's backed up to the
I don't know the
railroad.
individual reason for each one, but each one is done on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Just strictly on the land location, right?
It's not just the land location, it's the people around it, it's the neighborhood. There's a lot involved.
Oh, okay. So the people in that neighborhood complain, maybe? I don't know. It's not, it's just a lot of stores there. That's why I was kind of curious, is
You were
why.
on the council when the people were complaining about the 22-story building, so I know you know.
Oh, I know, and I
Yeah.
I thought it was a good location because it's next to a railroad. It's got stores, it's got nothing behind it or no residential's on either side of it. And then I guess I'm perplexed that we're downsizing that when we're upsizing other ones that are in more residential areas like Broadway and 12th Street and Avenue E, just was, trying to understand if there was a
Again,
cohesive plan.
that's your term for upsizing, because I don't remember that being proposed as a lower amount. But we're not referring to that, we're talking about North Street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
Move it.
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Absolutely, aye. I thought it was lunacy when 3 22-story towers were suggested there. And I'm not thrilled with 14, but it's certainly the lesser of two evils, and that neighborhood is thrilled about it, that it has come down in height, so I vote aye.
Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
I, too, am not thrilled about certain heights in certain places, but it's definitely better than having those 22-story towers that were mentioned, and I'll vote aye.
05 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, which was introduced and passed the first reading at the meeting held June 12th, was published in the Jersey Journal and posted on the bulletin board as required by law, with notice that it would be further considered for final passage following a public hearing at this meeting of July 17th, is now before the council for its consideration and a public hearing. And a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez, giving the ordinance second reading. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Second reading is by title, an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic. The council is now ready to give all persons interested in this ordinance an opportunity to be heard concerning it. The council president will recognize anyone who wishes to speak. No protest against, objections to, or statements in favor of this ordinance or its passage has been filed with me. May I have a motion to close?
So move.
Second.
And on the motion to close, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And a resolution ordering final passage.
So move.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Okay, our first speaker is Ms. Sharon Nadrowski.
Good evening. I have a question. I'm deeply concerned. Back a couple of years ago, we took out the generator that was here for in case of emergencies, that supported our fire and police radio room to make sure that we could flip over to in case of a power outage. Maybe 5 years back, I have a copy of the contract. We spent a tremendous amount of money, ripped out the bushes in front to put a new generator. Because it was deemed that more than the police and fire would need to have power if there was a power outage. And I think the mayor's office and a couple other offices on that side of the building in power outages were able to stay up. So we spent a tremendous amount of money, and we had a power outage, if you're all aware, a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if you're all aware, or if the public was aware, because we don't publicize these things, but that generator didn't support anything. Our police communication and fire communication, our 911 was down and had to be routed out of here. I'm just trying to understand. We passed that, and we put that in, and we spent taxpayers' money for safety reasons. Did we not do a failover test? We not test these things before an emergency happens? In times when there are power outages, we all know that there's a lot of unnecessary calls, I'll get granted, to 911, but they do happen. So we flooded the county. I just really like an explanation on, are we holding somebody accountable for that?
Yeah.
What was the impact?
As you
How
reminded
much?
me the last time you were here, this is not a question and answer period.
Okay.
So if you want to wait till after the meeting's over, we could have somebody speak to you.
Okay, and then another thing. So I listened, and it's public comment now, and I didn't get back up and speak before about the project you passed for the old forum. Basically, what I heard, and it's not very often that I agree with Mr. Carroll, but tonight we do. And I agree. Affordable housing's an issue, and quite curious as what we're doing to meet our COA requirements, but it's like it was like quid pro quo. You give us a rec center and we'll give you whatever stories you want. And we just talked about that. We just approved 10 stories in the center of town where multiple council people spoke about how they worried about the traffic and the congestion and the safety, but yet we just downsize something in the middle of nowhere. Not saying you're wrong for downsizing that, but this is my problem with willy-nilly, no really cohesive thought and how we apply what we're doing. It just is very random. It doesn't seem to be any real logic, thought, or consistent logic, okay? Consistent, that's all I'm saying. We're just asking for consistency because we just said 14 stories was the max in a pretty much open place with not a lot of foot traffic. I guess for the light rail there is, but there's no park in there, so. And then, but yet in the middle of the heart of town, like Gary called it, and Juan talked about all the kids having to walk past there, we approved 10 stories. I mean, it just doesn't, in my opinion, it just doesn't seem that, that there's any real plan and any real guidelines that are being followed in that. And again, about the rec center, I'm not a rec center like you have in Woodbridge or any of them. The public can go into any time. This doesn't sound like this. This sounds like it's a building that's going to be used for city route, and people who participate in the Department of Recreation can use it. It's not like the 16th Street pool. I can go there and get in there during public hours. I hope it's something like that because not everybody wants to participate maybe in the city thing, and a lot of the older kids that in between the older teens, there aren't really a lot of things for them. So this would be great for them if it truly is a public open space that it doesn't have to be a team renting, you don't have to pay, you don't have to do that, because that would be what a community center really is. Thank you.
Mr. Munoz?
Good evening, everyone. Christopher Munoz, 70 Evergreen Street. Sharon kind of stole my thunder on the 25th Street project on that, but I have to agree, it's not often that myself and Councilman Carroll agree on much, but I have to agree with him on this. And I say this because I do commend the property developers for the 25th Street project for creating some sort of space for recreation for the city. But I do agree that it's not, doesn't seem to me like it's going to be like a Woodbridge recreational center where a kid can walk off the street. Oh, I decide, it's all, life's about choices. Am I going to go down here and cause trouble, or am I going to go to the rec center? It doesn't seem like that sort of property they can just walk into like a Woodbridge or the PAL back in the day. All right, so it seems like it'll be run by the rec department. Maybe you have to get some sort of permit, which is not a problem for me because, you know, there's good people in the rec department. I'm not complaining about that. But when we keep on calling it a rec center, it's not the same thing. This council, people have come and gone, but the mantra for the city since about 2014, someone said that, was to have a rec center, and we still don't have that. And I'm not understanding that because with the amount of development that we have going on in town, in Jersey City, the developers contribute to a fund and Fulop builds things with this fund. I don't understand why that's not happening here in the city of Bayonne. So that was my first thing. The second thing is CR5. Just want to ask a question. So it says it's 211 Bayonne.
You can ask that question when CR5 comes. For
Oh,
right
so
now,
this is public comments. I can't.
It's common, you can say whatever you want.
Oh, so I can say
but we're
whatever I
not
want.
gonna answer questions back.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you did say it wasn't a question and answer session. Okay, so I will say that 211 Bennett, it's my understanding that's the garbage company that is donating this money. I'm all for private donations to the city, especially when we're passing a 3.5% tax increase. I'm all about money coming in from the private sector, but it just kind of seems to me that we have a contract with them. Kind of seems like a quid pro quo to me, like, you know, you're basically saying, oh, give us this money for this fire truck and we'll keep on renewing that contract. I'm not saying that's the case, just kind of looks like that. Kind of looks like, you know, why are we accepting donations from someone that we actually give contracts to? I don't expect an answer because like President LaPalooza said, it's not a question and answer. And then the other thing, I just want to question OR1 through OR12. Again, I'm not expecting an answer, but it seems to me that you have a lot of people, some of these are new positions from what I understand, going from 82,000 to 98, 94 to 125,000. Seems like a lot of tax money going to these new positions or increase in the positions. And after we just got a 3.5% tax increase, why are we putting so much money into these positions? So that's what I had to ask. I know I'm not going to get an answer, but hopefully I would love.
But you can ask at that time.
I can ask at that. Well, I don't want to waste anyone's time. My questions are in there. This keeps on falling off. Maybe we can put some of that money towards that. And then what we can do is I will email you all individually. Hopefully I can get an answer via email. Okay? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
William? I think he left.
Is there a William?
Is there a William here?
Public speaker?
There were some folks, just for the council's information, that thought they would be speaking on a second reading on an ordinance. They put their name on the list mistakenly, so I'd ask anybody who doesn't want to speak, whose name is read, to just raise their hand and say, I'm okay.
I'm sorry, I could not hear everything you said. Could you
Yo,
speak into
oh,
the
I
microphone?
apologize. I didn't want to-
Because I really couldn't hear everything you said.
There were some people who thought that they were here for a second reading mistakenly. So they put their name on a list thinking that they needed to do so in order to speak about an ordinance. I believe it's not the case. So I've asked them, if their name is read and they don't intend to speak, just raise their hand and say thank you.
Okay, thank you.
He was the last one on the list, though. So moving forward, 06 has been withdrawn. 07 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 33, Planning and Development Regulations, and Chapter 35, Zoning Regulations, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, August 14th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council's chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. It's moved by the Council President. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
And on that introduction, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez. Aye. Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
08. One too many. 08 is an ordinance of the City of Bayonne, County of Hudson, approving an amendment to the redevelopment plan for the peninsula at Bayonne's Harbor Station South, and a resolution fixing August 14th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. It's moved by the Council President. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker.
Mrs. Kelly, can you just give me a little bit more clarity on this?
Sure. So one thing, just to also note, within the resolution itself, there's a misprint on the last whereas clause where it says the amended 8th Street Rehabilitation Plan. That's not the case. That should be the Harbor Station South redevelopment plan. So on that, I just want to point out that error on that. But for this redevelopment plan here, the planning board looked at this, and again, it's amending the number of stories permitted within the zone from a maximum of 25 stories to 50, and then along with adding additional uses there, such as medical, life sciences. It's also removing townhomes, single-family homes, and two-family homes from the redevelopment plan.
It's removing them from the plan?
It's removing, as a permitted use, listed in there, it states that townhomes, single-family homes, and two-family homes would not be permitted within that district. Again, that was on a recommendation from our planner in looking at the zone. Given the fact that the design for this is for high-rise, just doesn't seem to fit kind of within the plan for that area. Okay, sure.
So on 08, we're taking the vote. Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
I will vote aye to introduce this because I'm very interested to hear what the public has to say about this. I've made my opinions known at the caucus meeting. my concerns about this. This information about the removal of townhomes, two-family homes, and single-family homes is new information to me, especially when in that area, a short, I want to say less than half a mile down the road, that's all you see. And I've been saying for years now that I want to see those types of things in town instead of these big buildings that are going up. I want to see those townhomes and structures that have been built out there, built within the city limits proper. So I'll vote aye to give the public a chance to talk about this. But this was also so repugnant to all of us 30 days ago that we dismissed it out of hand at the 50 stories. And mention was made, not by me, surprisingly, of views being blocked by the people who live out there and who have been there already. And I remember that vividly because I talked about the views being blocked by the people on 12th Street and various other working families in the city limits proper. So I'm very curious to hear all the information about this as we go forward.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer? Mr. La Palusa?
This is the area down the old base where I would want to see something tall. I'm not usually for tall buildings, but this is the area to create something unique, a unique skyline for Bayonne. And with that, I'll vote aye. But I am also interested to hear as much information between this week and next month.
I apologize. I would also add to the individuals who I know are here in this room, I'd like to see or hear something about workforce housing, something to be done for the middle-class worker in this city next month or between now and next month.
09 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 4, licensing, registration, and business registrations, and a resolution fixing Wednesday, August 14th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. It's moved by the Councilmember Weimer. Mr. Booker, will you second?
Second.
And on the resolution and introduction, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
010 has been withdrawn. 011 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the revised general ordinances of the City of Bayonne, Chapter 7, Traffic, and a resolution moved by Councilmember Perez fixing Wednesday, August 14th at 6 p.m. in the Dorothy E. Harrington Council Chambers as a time and place for a public hearing and final passage. It is adding 4 restrictive zones. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
012 has been withdrawn. Communications is a consent resolution moved by the council as a whole, ordering the following communications be received and filed. It covers C1 through C12. Any questions on the communications? And on the communications, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Officers' reports is moved by the council as a whole. It is a resolution ordering the following officers' reports to be received and filed, and any resolutions incorporated within them to be adopted. It covers OR1 through OR12. Any questions on the officers' reports? On the officers, yeah, come on up.
You don't have to pull it out because it's kind of just general.
Can't hear you.
Do you want my name again? Do you want my name again?
No.
So we're on officers' report?
Officer reports, yeah.
So I know Mr. Muniz has talked about it, but again, I'm just going to have to reiterate. There were a lot of new positions here. We heard the council president in his, when addressing the extremely high tax increase, blamed it on the police and fire, basically. The expense up there, I got a copy of the budget today, I was doing the calculation. Yeah, that's those two departments, but if you add up all the increase in salary and wages of the departments downstairs, there ain't that much of a difference. Police and firemen have given up longevity, I think probably 8 years ago, and I'm going to say 80% of the force has turned over then. So that was a big savings that was done when we were up there. Gary, that was one of the cost savings we did, was getting rid of longevity for police and fire, so that we'd have savings for the future to prevent tax increases like this. We also, all these uniformed personnel, everyone in City Hall pays into their benefits now. They pay into their benefits in retirement. So I'm really a little perplexed.
I didn't
We're
blame the
increasing-
police and fire. What I did say was the insurance went up. That was the main blame.
Yeah, but we'll talk, so, but then we're adding all these new positions and we're giving all these increases when, you know, I don't know if everyone knows the, your rate increase is exceeding the cost of living increase people are getting. So the tax increase. You know, people struggle. We have a lot of seniors that live in this town, and it's disheartening when they see that, because I work in a private sector, and we generally don't get raises like that, right? If the year is good, we get good raises. I've had really good years, and I had years after the market crash where we stayed the same for a couple of years. You were lucky you had a job. You didn't have, you know, so, you know, everyone else is cutting back. It doesn't look like City Hall's cutting back. It doesn't look like you're cutting back at all. We're just spending, 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 and I don't even know what we're getting for our money. We had a generator that didn't work. We got roads that are falling apart. We don't mind paying taxes if we can see something for what we're paying. And talk about, one last comment, talk about increases and, you know, this going up in the budget. Our liability for all the lawsuits we have, that insurance went up $1 million, $1 million and change. That's because of all the lawsuits against the city, from what it was last year to what it is this year. So maybe we should stop getting sued and stop, you know, having to settle suits because of their unfair practices or whatever is going on. But we have a tremendous amount of lawsuits and litigation, and that explains. I know we always say, oh, the JIF pays for that, the JIF pays for that. It's not taxpayers' money. Yeah, but our rates keep going up. $1 million this year, or $1 million. Thank you.
Donna, do you want to address that?
Sharon, I'd just like to respond to your comments about the increases regarding the finance folks that are on the agenda tonight. So I spoke to Donna Maurer about that, and she explained to me that these are professionals who have master's degrees, accounting degrees. They have state certifications, and right now, their salaries are way under what would be even considered municipal market. And in order to retain these employees and to encourage them to stay in the municipal realm, which if we lost them, it would be a loss for the city. Donna Maurer has made an effort to respond to her department's request to increase their salaries. The salaries and the titles that are being requested is, if you see that what the municipal, what their duties are, job duties, these salaries are still way below market. So that's the reason.
Oh, I have no problem with paying an employees what they're worth. Honestly, I don't. I get it. I fought for raises too. Also, last month, there was, on the administrative side, all the administrators, you know, the appointed positions all got range increases too. I don't think there's any special certificates needed. I don't. They're appointed. There's no qualifications.
We're not going to go back
I'm not,
and forth.
no, I'm just saying that. So I am not saying that. And honestly, I think you raise the salary of a lot of other people in the city hall who actually work every day or here every day, put in a full 8 hours, And they're the only ones that sometimes the same people answer the phone because they're the only ones that are here working. Those are the ones that actually really need the raises that don't get them.
Okay.
So if we're going to give raises, why don't we give raises to everyone that deserves them?
Okay, Sharon and Don, I don't want to go back and forth, so let's get on to the vote. So,
Okay. Any more questions on the officers' reports? With that, on the officers' reports, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
aye.
Consent resolutions is a resolution moved by the council as a whole, ordering the following resolutions to be adopted. It covers CR1 through CR10. Any questions on the consent resolutions?
Mike, please step up to the microphone.
All right, just give me a second. Any other CRs? CR4 is being withdrawn, by the way. Okay, so take a vote on the remaining consent resolutions. Mr. Booker? Aye. Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer? Aye. Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
CR7 is authorizing the submission of an application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the creation of the Brownfield Department area within the city of Bayonne. Signal has this card.
Just curious
We're going
where
to
it
ask
is,
our
yeah.
professional,
Right. He has all the answers, I know.
Sue, did you want to come up and say something as well? Okay.
Yeah, again, this is efforts both by, Ms. Sumac, our planner, in that regard, working with the Department of Environmental Protection. So part of this is the state program in order to get grant funds from the DEP. We have to get an authorization to submit an application to them from the council so that we can apply for brownfield money that the state has available for cleanup sites.
So there's no area?
There is an area, again, that we're
Sue, could you
considering.
come up
I'm just
also
curious
on
to
eight
see what area is
and
going to be
answer
turned
this?
into a brownfield. Yeah.
It's cleaning up. It's already, again, a well-known environmentally contaminated areas. It's just upon the designation, it allows those properties that have, environmental contamination to be cleaned up through state-funded programs.
Okay, so it's already been done.
Well, no, it's already contaminated. We're trying to find a method to clean up these properties
Right.
on there. So I guess from the,
Yeah, and so I can help
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Joe has the future plan, I have the old plan, as you know, around here. So basically, we used to have this. So if you remember, Bayonne Shopping Center used to be Standard Tank, and it was all contaminated out on 440, and we had a brownfield development area. So that expired after Bayonne Shopping Center was all built, it expired. So this year, the state put out this new program for their 4 brownfield development areas. And so we called them, and Joe was instrumental in saying, well, we already had this, can we just add it on? And they came back and said to us, no, there's been about 10 years in between, and you have to redo it. So basically, and I did have a map, which I will get to you, Andy Reichel prepared it. It basically takes the area where Clayton Block is, like across there, and then it continues over into some of the Constable Hook sections. But the way Andy Reichel did it, Constable Hook is 25%.
Wait, like the old Exxon?
Yeah, so that's 25% of the town, and you can't, the state's going to make available, not to us, but to the property owners within it, $5 million a year to do the assessments and the cleanups in that area. That's a lot of money. And so, but what Andy explained to Mr. Skillinger today when we had a meeting, he explained he's focusing on prioritizing the stuff the city owns. So the city garage is down there, the city-owned property down there. So he didn't add in, 100 million private developers. He tried to focus on starting with Clayton Block, which we know needs to be cleaned up, that's scattered site 14, and then going over into, and Tom Cotter knows these sites better than anybody. And so all this does is allow us to file a map and apply the application by July 31st. Then there'd be a memorandum of understanding and stuff that will follow. But I'm just telling you that because Mr. Skillender's been instrumental in moving it forward, but I don't think he was here when we did it the last time.
Oh, okay, I just thought it was like an area, but okay, I understand it.
But I have the map. I thought it was attached, but I'll.
No, I understand you have to get that grant money. That's important.
But it's not grant money that's going to come to us. It's going to come, if we go in, Tom decides next week after we get it, he says, I need an assessment done on our city-owned property, then you'll get it. So, and the few businesses that are in the area also. Because $5 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you start with environmental stuff, it's not that much.
Right,
Yeah, but I thank Mr. Skillender for like pushing it forward.
okay.
But I wanted you to know we did it before.
All
And
right.
and Sue,
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
apologize. Those funds, if and when awarded, would be reserved solely for the purpose of
Exactly.
remediating those properties. So whether it's funds that come to the city for city-owned property or funds that go directly to independent
And
owners.
Council President, it starts with the assessment. The assessments
The
have to be
assessment.
done on the property, and those can be very expensive. So if you just did one property, then, that would be a lot of money for assessment and cleanup. If you've done to do multiple, like 10 properties, then you're down to $500,000 and stuff like that. We don't know that, and we don't have to know that at this point in time.
Right.
We just are not allowed to just grandfather from the
From the
DDA
previous
we
application.
had
Yeah,
before, so-
I got that much. And did I understand correctly where you said they will make available up to $5 million a year per
Annually.
property
No, it's
No,
$5 million per year for the program.
for the program,
Yeah.
for the entire area designated as a brownfield?
And then it would be up to everybody to decide which properties are advancing
Take
under their
priority, I
application.
see.
But Joe really necked down on it and figured out, went through all the documents. We tried to say, hey, we had this before, can we just continue it? And then Mr. Skillender found out that we
Okay.
couldn't.
So,
and
Sue,
that's
is this
where we
the old map then?
No, that's the map for the area. That's the map of the properties located within. That map.
That
was
is
done-
the map.
That map
That's
was
the
done.
current
That map was done this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sue, can you not go anywhere? Because I have a follow-up question. So the city is applying for the grants,
It's not a grant.
the brownfield funds.
It's not, so
Okay.
the city is requesting that, along with other cities in the state of New Jersey, that we designate a brownfield development area. That's not applying, we're designating an
Designated.
area. Yeah,
And the reason for the designation is to get funds.
yes. To make the properties within the area eligible for funding.
Okay, so we're doing this for private, we're doing it for property that we own, but we're also doing it
Yes.
for privately funded.
Because that's the guidelines is that properties within the area, private or public, can then avail themselves of the DEP funds that are available for assessment and then potentially cleanup.
Okay, but they don't pay into the cost of getting this designation.
No, well, I mean, you may do that. There'll be a memorandum of understanding. If we apply, there will be documents that will come back to the
And then
city.
if there's an award, we'll have a steering committee from.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
No, I meant are these private entities that will benefit from this designation? Are they going to pay for the cost, right? There's labor costs, there's fees, there's filings, there's your time, your effort. So normally, if someone wants to do that, they get a designation, even it does redevelopment, they pay lawyers, they do
Yeah.
all that work and submit the stuff, right?
But those
we're
guidelines-
doing that for them.
We're doing that for,
Correct.
I mean, I'm really sensitive on what we're doing because it's, as you said, we're moving forward. Bayonne has environmentally contaminated lands. Who owns them, cleaning them up is to the benefit of all of us. So that's, so it's a public benefit for us to clean up the brownfields. And
No, I
we
agree.
always had a brownfield.
I was just trying to understand how the cost for applying would
And
be.
it's at this point in time, so like, let's say a private company now is eligible to get the funding, and under this, we're not involved in that at all, basically. They'll be applying to the state. We won't have the costs.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
don't have any say in what areas get what? Once it's designated, they apply directly to the state?
I'm not, Alan Miller's not here tonight, he offered to come, but this is just designating an area.
Okay.
And then all the documents will come through, and Mr. Skillen's on top of that future. I just wanted everybody to know, in case anybody remembers, we used to have a
Yeah,
BDA.
no, understood.
And it was, it was because of the Bayonne Shopping Center.
Okay,
which
thank you.
It
Thank you,
dissolved
Sue.
when they finished the project.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Joe.
On CR7, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R1 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an agreement with the Bayonne Family Community Center to provide the cost of the boiler system upgrades pursuant to the proposal of Liberty Mechanical Contractors, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $487,510 for a period of 1 year commencing July 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025. It's moved by the council president. Ms. Weimer, will you second?
Second.
Any questions on R1? And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R2, 3, 4, and 5 have been withdrawn. R6 is moved by the council president, authorizing a conditional designation of 74 Hopkins Avenue LLC for the property located at 18-22 East 15th Street, which is identified as Block 253, Lot 39.30, and authorizing the execution of a funding agreement. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Mr. Skillen, do you want to add something?
Yeah, just quickly on that, just noticing it should be lots 39 and 40.
39 and 40.
Okay. That is on the resolution.
Yeah, but that wasn't on the pink slip. Let's get that straight. So on R6, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R7 is authorizing and directing the planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation for the property located at 81-87 East 22nd Street, which is identified as Block 449, Lot 6 and 7.01, as shown on the official tax map of the city, constitutes an area in need of redevelopment pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, and authorizing the preparation of a redevelopment plan for said property. It's moved by Ms. Weimer. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
R8 has been withdrawn. R9 on your agenda says reserve space, but there's actually two resolutions, so it's going to be 9A and 9B. The first one is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an agreement with Beacon Planning and Consulting LLC for the professional planning services for planning issues within the city of Bayonne on behalf of the city. On 9A, who'd like to move it?
I'm sorry.
On-
And what is it that what are we contracting with them for planning for?
Professional planning services for planning issues.
Can
The-
we expand on that?
This is in connection with the potential condemnation matters.
Yes, Jay.
Explain to me the two parts.
Well, so for A and B, there would be a city contract similar to how our current systems are set up with each of our consultants, and then B would be, again, for the developer and redeveloper escrows. So again, upon awarding this contract, just to make sure that they're consistent with our other professionals, would have the same contract and funding mechanisms. But there would
Who
be
do we
some.
have currently doing that?
Well, currently, right now, we have Clark Caton Hints, but similar to how our engineering is done, where we have Matrix, CME, Waterman, LLC. Again, this would be another consultant in our.
These are people that do this type of analysis. It's pretty much what they do. So CME submitted,
CCH submitted. A
CCH,
few others.
Beacon, and I forget the other one. But bottom line is this is their focus. And then, we're also, with the amount of development we have. CCH submitted, but, we know they've got a lot on their plate. CME's also got a lot on their plate, so we want somebody focused on this solely.
This is their specialty.
Ms. Nadrowski has a question.
Just, what is their rates? What is this contract costing us? What is the billable amounts? They submitted a request, how much they charge per hour, what is their work?
It's, not to exceed 200,000 for Part A,
I think Part B is the same.
same for Part B.
Yeah.
For clarity's sake on it, the city contract should be 25,000, and then the developer and redeveloper count should be 200.
And this would be paid for out of, normally these kind of things get paid out of escrow from developers and everything, so what is this going to be paid out of? The general budget?
No. They've apportioned $175,000 or $200,000. It will come out of developers, redevelopers' accounts, and the
Okay.
city's liability is limited to $25,000.
Okay, thank you.
So our 9A, which is for the city's portion, would like to move it.
Move it.
Second.
And on 9A, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
9B is also for special professional planning services, and the contract is being awarded to Beacon Planning and Consultings LLC for a contract amount not to exceed $200,000. Second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
We want to hold the closed session and go through all the ads first.
The closed session and do all the ads with the exception of anything that might involve.
Right. Okay, so our first add-on is approving the submission of a grant application and the execution of a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the 2025 roadway improvements. Who'd like to move it?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez. Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And 2 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an amendment to agreement number CY 24066 with Spatial Data Logic for technical support and maintenance of the city's departmental data management software for a period commencing July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, it should be, to include the cloud hosting services for 50 users for an additional amount of $26,200, making the contract $92,700. Who'd like to move it?
Move it.
And a second?
Second.
On the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
3 is authorizing the Bayonne UEZ to apply for an amount not to exceed $35,000 from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority Zone Assistance Fund for the Bayonne Urban Enterprise Zone Bergen Point Film Festival.
Move it. Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
4 is authorizing the Bayonne UEZ to apply for an amount not to exceed $35,000 from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority Zone Assistance Fund for the Bayonne Urban UEZ Zone's Christmas tree lighting.
So move.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
5 is from the Bayonne UEZ, applying for an amount not to exceed $10,000 from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority for the Bayonne UEZ Classic Car Show.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
6 is authorizing the UEZ to apply for an amount not to exceed $500,000 from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority Zone Assistance for the Bayonne UEZ beautification for Bayonne.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
I just want to say, Ms. Farber, I realize that some of these events have been in place for quite some time, but when we see things like funds being dedicated to beautification, which I'm hoping will help with cleanup and things of that nature also, I just want to thank you for putting forth things of that nature and making that the same priority that we think it is. So thank you for, I'm not sure if it took some thinking or creative thinking to get that put together, but I appreciate it. So thank you. Aye.
Okay, and Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Not sure whether the remainder of these, Add 7 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with All Lead New Jersey to conduct lead-based paint inspections of certain single-family, two-family, and multiple rental dwellings in accordance with PL 2021C-182, the Lead Hazard Control Assistance Act, for a period commencing August 1st through and ending July 31st, 2025, payable at the rates set forth in All Leads responsive to the city's RFQs.
Move it.
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker. Mr. Carroll. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer.
I also just want to comment because I know that Donna Russo had a significant part in making sure that this requirement was going to be affordable to all of our individual homeowners and negotiated some tremendously wonderful, advantageous rates for them. So thank you, Donna, for doing that and for making our residents a priority. I vote aye.
Mr. La Palusa.
Yeah, it's very important to the citizens and very much needed, and I vote aye.
At 8 is authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a concession agreement for the sidewalk waste and recycling receptacles and advertise with Creative Outdoor Advertising of America.
Okay, we have a question?
Yes. Hi, Christopher Munoz, 70 Evergreen Street. I'm just asking about this. I remember, this is the first introduction of this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, who can I speak, like, how can I get the specifics of this?
Mr. Cotter handles that?
Mr. Cotter? No, because I remember the last time we did this with a company, it didn't end that well. If I remember correctly, they were down First Street, ShopRite. The company didn't pay for the advertisements, they didn't
Now,
approve
that
the
was,
advertisements.
that was in connection with the bike share
Okay,
thing. And yeah, that didn't end well.
all right, it didn't,
And-
and so there's going to be advertisements on trash receptacles, am I reading this correct?
Yes,
Down Broadway?
yeah, and we've made sure that, there are 40 sites, I don't think they're all on Broadway, Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but unlike the bike share, we've made this contingent upon them getting state and federal, whatever approvals they have, because what we found out after the fact, when that thing showed up in front of ShopRite, was that that company didn't get appropriate approvals from the Department of Transportation or anybody else. That will not be the case in this instance.
Right, okay, no, I've heard many people on the city council mention the beautification of Broadway. I just heard someone say that just now, I don't know who said it, but, but my personal opinion, you think that's gonna look really nice walking down Broadway, seeing a whole bunch of advertisements on trash receptacles? I agree, we need more trash receptacles on Broadway. We need more trash receptacles all around the community. It's like the Disney theory, we shouldn't go like 20 feet without having a trash receptacle somewhere. Someone's got to do something about the litter in town, but I'm not exactly sure having a Dunkin' Donuts sign on the side of it or, Newport cigarettes, whatever you decide to put on there is going to actually look cool. I think it'll be an eyesore for the community. Just an opinion. I don't expect an answer, Council President. Thank you.
Sure, Mike. this was the time you can ask questions and get answers, Mr. Munoz. Oh. So, yeah, it's all a matter of, we need to try and cut costs, right? So it's, it's cost cutting, cost saving, however you want to put it, but, yeah, it's going to generate revenue, but also, as far as the advertisements, I'm not sure how they look, so maybe they'll get creative. I hope so, for all of our sake, so.
I agree, and thank you for letting me know about the process. I haven't been here in a while, but I'll be here.
You got it.
So this is separate than the 500,000 for, looking for the 5,000 from the New Jersey Urban Enterprise Zone Authority for beautification. So the advertising companies will pay for the kiosks and all that
Yes,
stuff.
it's private company.
Private company doing it through the city. Okay, thank you.
Who'd like to move that one?
Move it.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
I have a couple of more that are not on the agenda. The first one is authorizing the mayor, business administrator, clerk, and any other qualified representative of the city of Bayonne to execute an estoppel and recognition agreement with 345-347 Avenue A Renewal LLC. Urban.
Jay, you want to explain?
Yeah,
this?
we've been doing these. As the developers move forward and complete their projects, they move from construction financing to long-term financing. And in connection with that, the bank asks us to certify that, A, they do have a financial agreement, B, that they're not in default, and C, that they have paid all their taxes in connection with that. So we check with finance, we check with tax collector to make sure they're up to date, and then we issue, have the mayor sign a recognition agreement. We did this, I think, with this particular owner once before on another project, and I know we did one this past March on a bigger transaction, but we're going to see more and more of these.
Who'd like to move it?
Move it.
Second.
On that resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And 10, authorizing the city's engineer, Andrew Reichel of Waterman LLC, to advertise for bids and/or solicit professional services necessary to effectuate the soil and site remediation in connection with the Peninsula at Bayonne Harbor site known as Block 803.
And on this, that we had some dirty dirt down at the Military Ocean Terminal. We need to move it from one site to another site, so I think it was moved 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer than that. This site is now getting developed, and what Mr. Reichel has advised is that we need to go out to procure a site remediation expert, and then a company to come remove the dirt, remediate it, certify that it's been done the correct way, so that we can move forward with the development here. This is going to be paid for by the developer at the site as a credit on closing costs. So we'll be $0, well, it'll be deducted from the purchase price. But the bottom line is we've got to move this dirt, we've got to remediate the site, that's a precondition for our closing. And we fashioned, through Mr. Reichel, we were able to fashion this cure.
Question?
Mr. Coffey just talked about the land. We're selling the land? It's land that we're selling?
This is your favorite site, Sharon. This is the Boré site. We move dirty dirt from one property to another, and now we've got to get rid of it. We've got to move it.
But they already own it.
They
didn't
don't
throw
already
down
own it.
yet?
They have a contract to purchase. We spent how long about conditions precedent? So this is one of the conditions precedent. We've got to get rid of this dirt.
So, wait, so, wow. So they held on to that property for another 2 years, and they're paying the price that was negotiated 7 years ago today.
We haven't met our conditions precedent. We went over this years ago.
That's just unfortunate for the Bayonne residents. Another loss of revenue. Land could have been used for maybe a school, make Mr. Munoz happy, or the rec center.
We went
true
over
rec
this
center.
at
But thank you.
length years ago, that there was a condition precedent, and that condition, several conditions precedent, that the city of Bayonne was incapable of meeting. There's a highway access permit clean, making sure the properties are mediated, and several others. Down on Moppy. Right, as you come in on the right-hand side, it's one of the first properties on the right-hand side.
So it's right close to 440.
Yeah.
Would like to move it.
Move it.
And second?
Second.
And on the resolution, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
And the last add-on is, whereas on July 10, 2024, the City of Bayonne conducted a public hearing of the amendments to the city's fiscal year 2024 budget. At the conclusion of the municipal council vote to approve calendar year 2024 budget as amended by unanimous vote, now therefore be it resolved that the municipal council ratifies and affirms its action on approving the City of Bayonne's calendar year 2024 budget as amended at the conclusion of the public hearing July 10, 2024, and the calendar year 2024 budget is deemed to have been adopted effective July 10, 2024. That was, we had the special meeting, but we didn't say we were necessarily going to adopt at that special meeting.
So this is to adopt.
To
those
officially
changes.
adopt it.
You voted at the end of the public hearing. This is the formal acclamation of that. You all voted at the end of the public hearing, but you're at a formal meeting now, so you're ratifying and affirming that decision.
I'll move that.
And on add 11, Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Carroll. Aye. Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
Now, R10 is authorizing a closed session to discuss matters involving settlement of litigation pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. It's moved by the Council President. Mr. Perez, will you second?
Second.
And on that resolution, Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Perez.
Aye.
Ms. Weimer. Aye. Mr. La Palusa.
Aye.
We will be coming back out.
Sure.
Sure.
Sue?
Councilperson Weimer, I did have an opportunity to review the Kessler plan, which is the forum site. I did not see the specific language for the loading on street. If I can remind you that when we met on a similar issue back in, I guess, last summer, we had Sampson and Avenue F, and you directed us to put the language in that would say, to the degree possible, and, whatever. I mean, the loading, I just want to not leave without, I thought that's what you basically told me to do, but I just, I can direct Mr. Slough to add that to it, if that's what you want.
So also on that too, just for some of the conditions of our planning reports, we've been also adding those requirements in.
We have them.
On the site plan application. So
Yeah.
while it may not be sometimes written into the plan, they are in the reports at the request, demanding the developer do that.
Right, I think, and
Are you satisfied with
I was going to say, and I'm happy to have everyone offer their opinion, but I do think that it has to be a mandate for that location.
Well, I think, and Mr. Maselli was very accepting of it.
And he was. I would
This
think.
project isn't that far along, where the ones that we were looking at, Avenue F, you couldn't fit it, we were on a corner. This one, so it's to
Exactly.
degree possible, because it may
Okay.
not be possible.
I'd prefer that it be a mandate, because it is impossible to allow for anything other than that in that location. And absent that, I don't think we could,
Yeah,
we would have.
I'm
given
surprised-
approval. But Mr. Maselli is actually here now,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
if.
Well, he said it was okay with him, he would try.
He
so.
did represent that it was okay with him. Mr. Maselli, we're just, Suzanne did check the
Plan.
overall plan. Please don't feel the need to get formal for us just because you're coming up to the microphone. Did check the current plan. It does not have the language in there mandating the set aside for deliveries, move in, move out, drop-offs, things of that nature. If you, it's not even if you mind, but I mean
Put it
no
in-
disrespect, Mike, but
Yeah.
absent having that language in, I don't think we could approve it.
Yeah,
So
it-
if we could have that
Yeah,
added.
yes, and you will have an opportunity to revisit. This isn't the last time we're going to appear here.
Sure.
We're going to be in front of the planning board. We'll probably be
Yeah.
back to the council at some point, and you can hold us to it at that.
Sure, and Suzanne, if we could add that. I
Yeah,
would
you-
really
I
just
have
want
no
it
problem.
clear.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you can add
Thank
the
you.
language, but
You said it was okay, I just,
Yep.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
100%.
Tomorrow, somebody will say, well, did the council actually tell you to do that? And
Yes.
we discussed
Yeah,
it, but
it
we
was
didn't.
We did.
mandated by the
Thank you.
council.
Thank you,
That's
Suzanne.
it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear the use of the word mandate this week, as it was a frightening word to everybody last week, but it is our role as the council to issue these mandates and to provide legislation, especially when it comes to buildings.
And on a lighter note, the concert that was canceled this evening is rescheduled down at 16th Street Sunday night at 7 o'clock, for anyone interested.
Motion to
So moved.
Okay. And second?
Second.
And on the motion to reconvene, Mr. Booker? Aye. Mr. Carroll? Aye. Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer?
Aye.
Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
Sure.
Okay, we have, we're involved in litigation with Bayonne Redevelopment Residential Urban Renewal Block 780 LLC in connection in the tax court and also in the Superior Court in New Jersey. There have been, I think, close to a year's worth of negotiations. This is a 1921 filing, so there's been more than a year's worth of negotiations. So this resolution reads as follows. Whereas the City of Bayonne is engaged in litigation with Bayonne Redevelopers Residential Urban Renewal Block 780 LLC, Bayonne Redevelopers, in the following matters in connection with the redevelopment project known as Harbor Station South, Bayonne Redevelopers Residential Urban Renewal Block 780 LLC versus City of Bayonne, Hudson County Superior Court, New Jersey, docket number HUD-L-3178-21, and Bayonne Redevelopers Residential Urban Renewal Block 780 LLC versus City of Bayonne in the tax court of the state of New Jersey, docket number TAX-007406-2021. And whereas the parties, after extensive negotiations, have come to an agreement on terms of settlement for both matters, and whereas the terms of settlement are set forth on the attached settlement agreement and release, and whereas based upon the recommendations of legal counsel, this municipal council is amenable to entering into a settlement agreement consistent with the terms and conditions set forth in the attached settlement agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and clerk are hereby authorized to execute the attached settlement agreement on behalf of the city of Bayonne. That agreement, which although it says confidential, is not confidential. And number two, it dismisses both cases with prejudice. There are certain conditions precedent, or I guess conditions attached to it that to be completed, I guess, before we have the next meeting. We've got counsel for the redeveloper here. We spent a lot of time today going over the picking nits at the end of the day, and the recommendation from our legal counsel was that we enter into this agreement.
Madeline, we're going to move it as a whole.
Okay. And on at 12, Mr. Booker? Aye. Mr. Carroll? Aye. Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Weimer? Aye. Mr. La Palusa?
Aye.
And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And on the motion to adjourn, Mr. Booker? Aye. Mr. Carroll? Aye. Mr. Perez? Aye. Ms. Weimer? Aye. Mr. La Palusa?
Aye. Good evening, everybody.